All right, let's jump right in. We're about to go on a journey to a place that honestly feels like it's from another planet, but it's right here, on Earth. We're talking about a river, but not one that flows under the open sky. No, this is a river that carves its path through total, absolute darkness, hidden deep inside the Earth on the island of Palawan in the Philippines. We are exploring the incredible Puerto Princesa underground river.
And look, this isn't just some local tourist spot. Its global importance is official. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And their description? It nails it perfectly. A spectacular limestone karst landscape. Now keep those words in your head. Karst landscape. Because that unique geology is the secret sauce that makes this entire hidden world possible.
I mean, this place has a serious trophy case. It's not just a UNESCO site, which is a massive deal all on its own. Back in 2011, millions of people from all over the world voted it one of the new seven wonders of nature. That puts it in the same league as the Amazon rainforest. And for a long time, it held the title for the longest navigable underground river on the planet. It's a true Triple Crown winner, which tells you right away that we are dealing with something really, really special here.
So here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to explore this incredible world beneath our feet. Then we'll get super practical with your underground river adventure. After that, we dive into the science of seeing in the dark. From there, we zoom out to the big picture, the fight for paradise. And we'll wrap it all up by looking at where this all leads, with a wonder at a crossroads.
So our journey starts right here, just trying to get our heads around the massive scale and the geological magic of this place. Because you gotta understand, it's so much more than just a cave with a river running through it. It's an entire living, breathing world shaped by water and a whole lot of time. To really get the underground river, you have to get this word, karst. So what is a karst landscape? Well, imagine slightly acidic rainwater falling on soft rock, like limestone, for millions and millions of years. It slowly dissolves it. But it doesn't just carve canyons on the surface. It creates this hidden, almost Swiss cheese-like world underground. A world full of secret passages, sinkholes, and these huge cathedral-like caves. That is the very architecture of the underground river.
The complexity here is just mind-blowing. The river itself, it's 8.2 kilometers long, but what makes it totally unique is that it flows directly out into the ocean. You know what that means? The lower part of the river is tidal. Salt water from the sea actually pushes back into the cave, meeting the fresh water coming down. It creates this bizarre, brackish environment in total darkness. The park protects the whole thing, a complete mountain-to-sea ecosystem. And above ground, you've got Asia's most valuable limestone forest, home to animals you can't find anywhere else, like the Palawan binturong or the beautiful peacock pheasant. It's the whole shebang, a complete living system.
Okay, so we've talked about how grand and important it is. But what if you actually want to go? How do you get there? How do you turn from someone watching this explainer into an explorer on the ground? Let's break down the nuts and bolts of an underground river adventure.
You've basically got two choices. Book an organized tour or go for the do-it-yourself route. The tour is convenience in a nutshell. They pick you up, they handle all the permits and paperwork, they feed you lunch, and they drop you back at your hotel. It's perfect if you just want a hassle-free day. Now, going DIY, that's for the traveler who craves a bit more freedom. It can be a little bit cheaper, sure, but the real prize is the flexibility to explore the beautiful port town of Sabang and its beaches at your own pace.
And if you do choose that DIY path, don't worry, the process is pretty straightforward. First, you just got to get yourself to the town of Sabang. It's about a 2-hour ride from the main city, Puerto Princesa. Once you're at the boat terminal, you handle the paperwork, pay your fees, then you hop on a bigger boat for this beautiful 15-minute ride over to a secluded beach, which is the official entrance. And finally, you gear up, helmet, audio guide, and you board the small canoe that a guide will paddle right into the mouth of the cave. So, what's this all going to set you back? Well, here's a sample budget. Assuming 2 people are sharing a motorbike, you're looking at a total cost of around 1,520 Philippine pesos per person. That's what, a little over 25 US dollars? You can see the biggest cost is the park fees themselves, and that money goes right back into conservation, paying the rangers and keeping the place pristine. When you think about it, that is a remarkably cheap price to experience a world-class, world-famous natural wonder. Oh, and here is a very, very important piece of advice for when you land on that beach entrance. The locals are definitely watching. And by locals, I mean the monkeys. They are notorious for snatching bags while tourists are distracted trying to get the perfect photo. So seriously, hang on to your stuff. It's a fun little reminder that you are a visitor in their home. All right, we've made it. You're at the cave mouth. Your little canoe pushes off from the light and into the darkness. But this is where our story pivots. We're going beyond just the tourist experience and into the science of it all, because what our eyes can see is just a tiny, tiny fraction of what's really going on inside. So the public tour takes you about 1.5 kilometers deep into the cave. It's an incredible 45-minute journey. But think about it. With thousands and thousands of people passing through day after day, how do we understand the real impact of all that noise from our voices and light from our headlamps? How do scientists study the creatures that evolved for total darkness without disturbing them? How do you actually see in the dark?
Well, this is the answer. On the left, that's what we see. Darkness, with maybe a little dot from a flashlight. On the right, that's what technology sees. That's a thermal image. And all of a sudden, the darkness is alive. Every single one of those bright, colorful shapes is a bat, a warm-blooded mammal, lit up by its own body heat. This is the difference between guessing what's there and knowing. And this is the piece of gear that makes it happen. A team of Italian and Filipino researchers used this camera, the FLIR E60BX. It's got to be tough enough to handle the crazy conditions in there. We're talking nearly 100% humidity and constant dampness that would just fry normal electronics. But more importantly, it lets scientists watch the bats with zero light, studying their natural behavior without them even knowing they're there. They can see things like light sampling, where a few bats will poke their heads out to check the conditions before the whole colony flies out for the night.
But why go to all this trouble? Why count bats? Well, Dr. Paolo Agnelli, one of the lead scientists, he explains it perfectly. He says trying to count bats is incredibly hard, but it's essential. This data lets them track population trends. If the numbers start to drop, that's a huge red flag. It tells them something is wrong. Something is disturbing the colony. And it could be related to tourism. And remember, these bats and the swallows in the cave, they're the foundation of the entire cave food web. Their droppings, called guano, provide the nutrients for everything else that lives in the dark. So if you protect the bats, you protect the entire system. And that idea brings us to our next big chapter, the larger conflict. Because this isn't just about bats. It's about a fundamental challenge that so many of the world's most beautiful places are facing. It's the fight to protect paradise from its own popularity. So how is the park actually doing in this fight? Well, the official watchdog for these kinds of places is the IUCN, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, and their official grade is a nuanced one, good with some concerns. It's kind of like getting a B on your report card. Yeah, you're doing a lot of things right, but there are definitely some notes from the teacher about things that need serious and constant attention to stop them from getting worse. This chart right here shows you the heart of the problem. Before 2011, before it was named one of the new 7 wonders of nature, tourism was manageable. But after that award, it just exploded. Visitor numbers blew past 300,000 a year, pushing right up against the park's estimated carrying capacity. That's the absolute max number of people the ecosystem can handle without being seriously damaged. That is an enormous amount of pressure on a very delicate system. And that pressure from tourism is just one of the big threats the IUCN has identified. Outside the cave, there are constant battles against illegal logging in the watershed that feeds the river. There's the heartbreaking illegal wildlife trade, which targets critically endangered species like the Philippine pangolin that finds a refuge here. And of course, there are land use conflicts and the ever-present risk of pollution from new construction and development nearby. But here's the good news. The park is not just sitting back and watching this happen. They are actively fighting back on multiple fronts. Management has capped daily visitors to control the flow. They've massively increased the number of park rangers on the ground. Those audio guides we talked about, they're not just for information. They're a brilliant way to keep people from shouting inside the cave. They're also promoting tourism models that give local communities a real stake in conservation. And they're doing the hard, boring work of land surveys to protect the watershed. And all of this, it brings us right here, to our conclusion. The Puerto Princesa underground river, just like so many of our planet's natural wonders, finds itself at a crossroads. It's caught between these powerful, competing forces that are going to decide its future. This slide just lays it all out, the core dilemma. On one side of the scale, you have this massive economic opportunity. Tourism is the engine of the local economy. It provides jobs. The region has attracted billions of pesos in investment pledges. But on the other side of the scale is the ecological risk. Unchecked growth disturbs wildlife, pollutes the water, and could literally destroy the very thing that people are coming to see in the first place.
It is the classic paradox of ecotourism.
So we're left with this question, and it's a question that applies not just to this underground river, but to every incredible place on Earth we hope to visit. It's a challenge to the park managers and to governments, sure, but it's also a challenge to us as travelers. How do we change our mindset? How do we become explorers who actually enrich a place instead of just being consumers who take from it? That is the question at the very heart of the fight for paradise.